Hi class, it's Craig Clark. I thought I'd give you a little introduction into product life cycles as this is our last major project for the course of Marketing 1311. Product life cycles really put together everything that we learned about the 4 Ps of marketing in really one application. And what I'd like to do is take a look at a real life example of a company that went through multiple product life cycle stages, a company that you probably aware of today, Keurig Dr. Pepper, but they started off a long time ago called Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Here's a product life cycle, and every product or service actually goes through product life cycles. They go through distinct stages: introduction, accelerated growth, decelerated growth, maturity, and decline. The length of time that a company or a product goes through, each of these phases are variable. They could be long, they could be short. An example of a long product life cycle would be a company like Arm & Hammer baking soda, where that product has been around for hundreds of years, yet it continues to be in the forefront, mainly because they find new uses for that same old product. Introduction on Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. Let's talk about them specifically. The company started in 1981 as a coffee roaster. They sold nothing but coffee. And they found that 75% of coffee was consumed at home by individuals. And so the original company, they sold these roasted coffee beans out of Vermont. Considered a high quality, premium gourmet coffee, competing against the big boys like Starbucks. And they sold to high-end restaurants, mail order, and grocery stores. Very limited scope of selling as they first started. And they focused really on being socially and environmentally focused, actually being the first company that actually sold organic coffee. Growth. Okay, they went through a growth stage where they moved and expanded their placement by adding their sales through retail outlets, wholesale accounts, food service distribution networks, and mail order. They grew exponentially, serving international markets, specialty stores, and then actually started working on selective distribution, which is identifying specific targets where you're going to sell your product. On Amtrak, various airlines, Weight Watchers, and LL Bean. But then we're talking about just coffee, and how do you compete selling just coffee? Well, they merged with a company called Keurig, who had a technology answer by developing the single cup brewing system. And it was brand new to the world. Nobody had something that would make a single cup of brewed coffee. And their K-Cup, the delivery of the coffee in home, and then they focused on expanding into offices. And they were competing head-on against Starbucks. Again, remember, they're selling just coffee as a premium single cup of coffee. They continued to invest in Keurig until they owned the company in 2003. They transitioned the business from 95% of low-margin wholesale coffee to 95% of revenue from these high-margin K-Cups. And if you bought them, they're expensive. They added licenses with Tully's and Diedrich's and Timothy's out of Canada, and then actually ended up with an agreement to sell Dunkin' Donut branded coffees at Dunkin' Donuts and in the store, excuse me. This is probably the biggest issue with Keurig, Green Mountain Coffee Roaster, and that was the patent protection. The patent protection that they had on the K-Cups and the technology behind it was imminent that they were going to lose that patent. So at this point, they made an agreement to sell Starbucks coffee in these K-Cups, with Starbucks selling the Keurig machines in their stores. So now they've expanded the selling of their machines and coffee in select locations. They started selling other branded coffee in K-Cups, Newman's Own, and what they were able to do then was to get other coffee companies to put their coffee in K-Cups, and they would be getting royalties based on other companies' coffee in their machines. And then as patent protection was expiring, they launched a new brewer called the View, and it had new options. Again, in the product life cycle, as you start to mature, you come up with new features and benefits to your existing product. Their new brewers were called the Revo, which was a partnership with Lavazza out of Italy, and then they came up with the Bolt, which was full pot brewers, followed by the Keurig 2.0, where they actually were able to create a new pod that would not accept any other pods except those that they licensed specifically. They grew tremendously, and in 2014 they got the attention of the Coca-Cola company, and they purchased 10% stake in the company and then later increased it to 15% by adding the cold beverage system called Cold. This then allowed them to add the Coca-Cola branded products, and you could create them using the Keurig Cold system. In 2015, Dr. Pepper, Snapple added to their investment and bought into the Keurig Green Mountain. They changed their name in 2015 to Keurig Green Mountain. They sold more machines. They introduced the K-Mug, the K200. They actually put brewing machines inside GE refrigerators. They also added new products, the Campbell's soup products, adding hot soups to their portfolio. And Keurig Cold allowed them to create sparkling or non-sparkling teas, sports drinks, soda fountain drinks, competing with what you probably have heard before, the SodaStream. And then they acquired Dr. Pepper, Snapple. They acquired actually Dr. Pepper and Snapple, and they changed their name to Keurig Dr. Pepper. The third largest beverage company in North America, in excess of $18 billion. So in conclusion, I'd like to take a look at how this company, as an example, has changed its market focus and strategy as it progressed through the product life cycle. Marketing really involves change. It needs to be focused, strategic, and defined. And we talk about the 4 Ps being controllable variables. The 4 Ps, product, price, placement, and promotion, are things that marketers can change. They are variables that can change, and they need to change at certain stages of the product life cycle. So we're going to put this all together in a single project, project number 4. Fill out the grid by identifying 2 products at each stage in the product life cycle, and they have similar strategies and focus as they move through the product life cycles with regards to strategy and how the 4 Ps change. So good luck, put it all together, and we'll see how things work out. Again, appreciate your attention in class. This has been a great class. Thank you very much.